Bakula has appeared on Broadway in motion pictures and on television, where he is most familiar to audiences for his portrayal of a time traveler in the popular sci-fi series Quantum Leap. On February the 4th, he can be seen in Tom Clancy's Net Force, Part 2 of a miniseries, which is airing on ABC. A pleasure to welcome Scott Bakula to our show, and I'm sorry I butchered your name.
Oh, it's okay. Believe me, you're not the first.
In Quantum Leap, you were, as I recall, the man of many roles. You even played one time a pregnant lady on that show.
I played a pregnant woman. I wore a thing called an empathy belly, which women have developed for their husbands so they can get a little bit back.
I have seen that.
Have you?
As a matter of fact, on Regis and Kathy Lee, when Kathy Lee was having Cody some years back, she had Regis put the empathy belly on, and I thought to myself, you know, guys don't have babies. Why should we have to wear these things?
So that we can understand, so we can have empathy. I actually slept in it for a couple
What
of
is
nights.
it like?
It's really miserable.
Yeah.
It weighs about, overall you put about 30 more pounds on. It's water. There's a steel ball in it that weighs 10 pounds, so it's the size of a head.
The baby, right?
So it moves, so you feel like the baby shifting from side to side. And then they put a little sack of like sand that rests on your bladder, so that every 25 minutes you're like,
go, right?
Man, I gotta go. And then for some reason they give you these fake breasts, which I don't quite understand.
Well, they have them too sometimes.
Indeed.
But you often played females on that show.
Yes, I would say I played, I don't know, 10 or 15 different kinds of women.
I remember reading about Tootsie and Dustin Hoffman. Remember where he had to learn how to walk like a woman and sit like a woman and posture him? Did you go through that?
We actually were able, because of the convention of the show, I didn't have to do that. I was always me and fooling around in the heels and fooling around.
Okay.
You know, I didn't have to shave the hair on my chest. I didn't have to shave my legs, so we didn't go to any of that stuff because everybody always saw me as the woman. So actually, I got better and better on the heels as the years went by, which I don't really like to talk about.
Well, you probably enjoyed it now and again.
But the first couple of times it was pretty.
What about
silly.
reaction from fellow cast members and crew?
Well, you know, it started the very first time with the opening of the doors for me, and you know, all of the extra politeness, you know, and the hooting and the catcalls, you know, from up above. And then by the 5th season, you know, people would just oh yeah, he comes out in a dress today. Tomorrow he's in a diaper. You know, he's a chimpanzee, whatever. And they're just like, you know, whatever, Scott. You know, fine.
And there were serious sides too. The time that you played Lee Harvey Oswald. What was that like?
That was
the man who shot JFK.
Yeah, that was kind of bizarre. Our executive producer, Don Belisario, was in the Marines and was also a very convinced man that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. So he wrote a script just driving that point on and on. And actually, when we were talking about this the other day, and it reminded me of being in college, if you'll excuse me, and rushing home to watch you dissect that whole thing. I'm sure you remember, but
I do indeed.
It was a long. You did a long piece on it, and yeah, I mean, over several nights, and I don't know if it was several weeks or not.
No, it just seemed like several weeks. Looking back on it, it was only a couple of nights. But
no, I don't think it was, but I think it was at least...
No, we had Arlen Specter, who's the senator now from Pennsylvania, who was a man who helped develop the single bullet theory for the Warren Commission, and others to try and present the case that seemingly in a split second that day in Dallas in 1963, one man, Lee Harvey Oswald, could have shot and killed JFK and wounded then Texas Governor John Connally.
Yeah.
Which to this day I believe happened.
Yeah.
But I don't want to start a whole conspiracy. No. I don't have time for the conspiracy.
No, but I remember everyone in my fraternity house where I lived just glued to the TV because we were all, you know, diehard. Oddly enough, you know, you think about the X-Files now and it's all the conspiracy stuff.
Oh, sure,
and you know, in the 70s, we were just wrapped, you know, that whole thing of what was going on and we don't believe it, we can't believe it. But all of a sudden, I'm doing an episode as Lee Harvey Oswald, and I have the actual gun, and I'm sighting down the actual gun in the exact same distance through with the little tree there, the same height and all this stuff.
Grassy knoll, the whole thing.
Everything, and it was just bizarre. Yeah. You know, the motorcades going by, and I mean, we staged all of that stuff again, not as well as Mr. Stone probably, but it was still just the notion that you were somehow reenacting that kind of history.
Yeah.
It was really kind of creepy.
Then you had a wonderful co-star there, Dean Stockwell, veteran actor. I'm sure you learned from him. It was good to have him on the set.
Yeah, Dean was great. Dean was great. He has had about 3 different careers, and he wouldn't kill me for saying this, but you know, when I first met him, I knew who he was, and he had a reputation, and he'd kind of really come back into the forefront again with Blue Velvet, and he'd done some things, and all of a sudden everybody was like, wow, with Dean Stockwell, where's he been? And you start talking to him, and he was a child actor, and he was a huge child star, and you go back and you get his movies from then, and he had something going on that none of the other actors, the child actors from that time, had going on. And so he talked about that, and then he kind of went away from that, and, from Hollywood, and then came back to it in his late teens and early 20s, and then he went away from it again. And he's had about 3 different careers, and the ups and downs of that, for me, you know, is like, here's my first big series, and it looks like, you know, we're going to go. And he's coming to work every day, and he's excited, and he's happy, and he's not bitter, and he's not, you know, I hate this business, and I hate everybody in it. He loved the work. And it was great perspective, again, to, you know, to have.
Good for him.
Yeah.
You know, bitterness is a terrible thing. I know guys in my business who've gotten bitter over the years, older fellows, and it's a terrible thing to see because, like Stockwell, he reinvented himself and made things happen for him, and it was good to see.
And we're really lucky to do what we get to do.
Ain't that the truth?
We really are lucky, and he just, you know, gave me that, you know, on the set every day, and I loved him for that.
And then with Quantum Leap, they had something called the Leapers, which were much like the Trekkies, and they have conventions, and they have memorabilia, and they swap stuff back and forth. Have you gone to those conventions?
I've been to a few, actually.
Oh, but it's fun, huh?
They are fun. It's a little, the first couple it was a little shocking because you're walking into the perfect room. You know, you can say anything.
Can do no wrong.
You can do no wrong, and you just kind of puff up about it. You know, it's like, well, you know, I am this funny. I am hysterically funny.
And bright.
And bright, and actually, I'm much better looking than I ever thought I was. And look at these people. I believe them. I am that wonderful. But, you know, these were people who just loved the show, and we had a kind of a unique experience in that the show was, by all rights, should have been canceled the first season, and we had one episode in particular that kind of brought great numbers, great reviews, and then people started writing and pestering NBC at a time when they needed some shows like ours. And the fans really, and I've said this for years, they really were a big part of, you know, the whole success of the show, the whole
keeping
run
it going for the 5 or 6 year run that it did have.
You know, we had 6 different time slots in those years, so we needed loyalty. Please follow us, follow us.
Now, this picture that you're in now, part 1 ran last night over on the other network. This is the story of an FBI division in the future that patrols crime on the internet.
Right.
Which is really a topic now because there's a great concern for evasion and crime on the internet. You see it in the papers now.
Yeah, well, when we were shooting this last summer, there was a whole article about 100 FBI agents who have been designated to do just that today.
That's right.
You know, so, you know, everybody's like,
control the internet.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. And there's lots of law enforcement people that are already spending a lot of time on the internet trying to catch people and trap people and make some kind of inroads. I mean, it's like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, I know.
There's no rules. There's nobody in charge.
And there's complete anonymity.
Exactly.
Yeah. So people can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, whether it's speak hate, solicit sex, speak evil, and they...
No accountability, which is, that's kind of the scary part of it for me. So that's one of the things that was attractive for me to do this, because I have children, and because you know, they're fooling around on the computers a lot and spending a lot of time there. I don't think you can say it enough. You know, we need to pay attention to these things that we bring into our homes.
I love when the politicians say we want every American child to have access to the internet. Be careful what you wish for, gentlemen. Be very careful what you wish for. The picture is called Net Force. It's appearing on ABC. Part 1 was last night, and Part 2, I would believe, is a week from last night.
No, it's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday night?
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming. Oh, they don't mess around. They roll them quick over there at ABC. We will continue with Scott Bakula, who's appearing in Net Force on ABC, Part 2 on Thursday. You'll check the listings for the time and station in your town. Back with Scott and you on the toll-free after these messages. With Scott Bakula, here is Vince on the toll-free now in Ithaca, New York. Hi, Vince, and welcome to CBS Late Night. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing? Scott,
okay, thanks.
Scott, I'm a big fan. I got every episode of Quantum Leap on tape.
All right.
My question for you is, how'd you get started in show business?
Well, that's a good question. I actually started as a kid. I performed a lot in the theater. When people ask me, I always say the best thing anybody can do is spend time on stage. And when I was about 21 years old, I shocked my parents and told them that I wanted to go to New York and pursue a musical theater career, which
You left law school at the time, did you
I
not?
was, well, yeah, I was in pre-law school
Pre-law.
at the University of Kansas, and there was kind of a long silence, and however, off I went, and with their blessing and encouragement, and you know, I took the plunge. I didn't know anything about Los Angeles. I went to New York.
And if my research is correct, you had a fairly easy time landing a job in New York City. Luck came your way fairly quickly there, did it not?
Extremely lucky. There was a show on Broadway called Shenandoah from the
John Cullum?
Yeah, who actually did a quantum leap at one point, which was kind of a great thing.
Was that
for
the
me.
one where they had the deer on the stage, Shenandoah?
No, well, in different versions of it they did.
Maybe. I'm thinking of one. They did a musical called The Yearling, based upon that had a deer.
And they had that deer on the stage too. There was a segment of.
They all tend to run together in my mind at this stage.
But it was the first Broadway show I ever saw, Shenandoah, with John Cullum. And before I left St. Louis, a couple people said, you know, get this magazine that prints out all the auditions in town and look for the show because there are lots of male roles in it. And there were 2 women in the whole musical, and everybody else were, you know, soldiers, Union and Southern soldiers. So, you know, I got there on a Wednesday, and Friday they had auditions for a little touring dinner theater circuit in North Carolina. And Friday night, after being there for 3 days, I was able to call my parents and say, I got a job, $100 a week, room and board.
I'm on my way.
I'm golden, but I'm going to North Carolina. But, you know.
Anyway, Vince, that's how it all began.
Great.
Now, Vince, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How often do you watch every episode of Quantum Leap?
About once or twice a year now.
Really? You have a Quantum Leap festival at the house in
Yeah. I have them all. Like, I put them in order.
And do you have people that watch them with you, or are you alone at the time?
Yeah, no, I have friends that watch them with me.
Oh, very good, very good. Do you drink during the screenings? Or?
We do play the Quantum Leap drinking game sometimes.
Very good, very good. Well, Vince, I'm glad you called tonight, and thanks for being with us.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, good
Thanks,
night,
Vince.
sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Your Broadway debut, Maryland, An American Fable. And you got to research Marilyn Monroe at Lee Strasberg's apartment.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean,
that was kind of...
I mean, you're going to the shrine here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I think I was too young and probably naive to really fully appreciate it. I just knew that we had an in to go to their apartment, and I went. And, you know, you're wandering through the halls of this apartment that's full of books and pictures everywhere. You know, you didn't have enough time. And people are talking to you about this, and when Marilyn came over here, and da-da-da. And it's only kind of afterward that it's over the years it's kind of sunk in that I was in that place and hearing from them, you know, what it was like. It was pretty amazing.
And the people that you worked with. Now, you were a big romantic interest with Candice Bergen on Murphy Brown, which was fun. You were the stud there for a while.
Yes, I was. Yes, I guess Desert Storm is to be thanked for that because we created that niche, and I filled it. So.
And then Kirstie Alley, you did a picture called Carl Reiner's Sibling Rivalry.
Yeah.
And there's a funny scene that where they had the dummy, was it?
Well, her husband dies very early in the picture. Not her husband. She sleeps with my brother, but she doesn't know it. And he dies. He has a heart attack. And we're filming this one day, and Carl Reiner and Kirstie Alley on the same set was bizarre. Mix in Bill Pullman and Carrie Fisher, and it was, you know, it was crazy.
Bizarre.
It was crazy. And, you know, I came in and I was getting ready, and they said, oh, we'll be with you in just a second, Scott. We just have to finish this thing. And so Kirstie's there, and she's crying, and the body's in the bed. And it was Sam Elliott, and he was off doing something else. And the next thing I know, Carl says, cut, and boom, she's on top of that dummy, and she's humping this dummy like, and everybody's going, what? I said, and that was kind of like every day. There was something like that.
And then you worked with Bruce Willis in Color of Night. Yeah,
he was great. We had a great time, and kind of this simpatico thing because we both had come from TV series, and you know, and so the director would come up and say, "Would you guys, you want to come on in now? Let's do a little rehearsal." And Bruce, you know, at one point he looked at me and he said, "Look, he's got 5 years on a series, I got 4 years on a series. We don't need rehearsal. Let's shoot the damn thing." So,
and did you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, you know, you do what Bruce wants to do, pretty much.
I'm sure, but one take, Bruce and Scott?
Yeah,
very, very good, very good. Here's Shelby on the toll-free, Austin, Texas. Hey. Hi, Shelby, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, how you doing, Shelby?
Just fine, thanks. I wanted to ask you about, I am also an actor, and just recently had a baby, and I was curious as to how, I don't know what point you were in your career when you had children, but How did you balance the two when you had a young baby at home?
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Second of all, good luck. And thirdly, the best thing I can say about kids is that they give you tremendous perspective. And there's nothing that we do in this business that's remotely based in reality. So when you have a family and you have children who need you regardless of how your day on the set or your night in the theater went, it brings you right back into what's important in life.
Reality, reality check.
And I'm so grateful for that, for my kids and for that opportunity.
And how old is your baby, Shelby?
She is 6 weeks old.
Oh, she's brand new.
Sleeping much?
What's that?
Sleeping much?
No, I am not. That's why I'm up right now. Hey, Scott, I had one more point. I found it very interesting when I was on hold. I also did a production of Shenandoah in North Carolina. Can you believe that?
Where?
At the North Carolina Theater. It's an equity company that just does big musicals.
Right. Well, you probably did a much bigger, grander production than I did. I was in a little tiny dinner theater. We slept over the dinner theater, and we broke into the bar at night when everybody went home to siphon beer out of the kegs.
What is it like trying to do a musical production when people are eating dinner?
Well, it's very difficult, to say the least. And it's fine until someone is doing more than just eating dinner. So if it's like after dinner and people are feeling the need to relax, and how can there's no polite way to put it, but I think you know where I'm going. You're in an intimate dinner theater and people are doing what they do at home. And it
you mean
makes,
they let one go?
Yeah, there you go. You put it. I couldn't find that, but thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's hard. It's hard to keep singing.
Yeah, they launch an air biscuit. Yeah. Well, if you're in the key of F, it might be.
Well, Scott, I hope I get a chance to see you on stage at some point.
Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thanks very much.
All right, Shelby, thanks for calling, and happy baby.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, good night, young man. In any event, thank you for joining us tonight.
It's really my
again,
pleasure.
the picture is called Net Force. It appears on ABC, Episode 2. Part 2 is on Thursday night, and we'll have people check the local listings for the time and station. Nice to meet you, young man, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
okay.
Tom.
Back with Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Sometimes Young, after this short timeout.